Okay, everyone. So today we're doing some stuff inspired by the songs that people submitted, a number of which are at the bottom of the sampling and sound design folder. So the first thing that we were looking at was this synth sound that was in Roygbiv. I wonder if you can hear this. Maybe you can't, but it's in these three songs. Sync, None ID Change, and Roygbiv all have a sort of similar sound. I think Who Do You Love and Back Up also is using this kind of similar synth sound. So how do we make it? So first, we are going to click on one of our tracks, and we are going to go create Insert MIDI Track. And so we're inserting a new MIDI track. In the past, we've used these for thinking about sampling, putting our sampler instrument, but there are other instruments that we can put. Don't mind all this other stuff on my screen. That will be useful for us later. So what we are going to do is we are going to go over here and we're going to go to Instruments and we are going to go to Wavetable. And this is the one we're going to use. So we're going to drag it onto this track. And now you can see down here we have Wavetable. Now, luckily, I don't even have to do this weird zoom thing because if I click this arrow button, I can open up this larger format view, which will make things easier for us. So you want to get your Wavetable, and then in the top right-hand corner, you want to make sure that your track is armed by clicking the red thing, and you want to make sure that you have your keyboard so you can play on your keyboard. And if you do, it should sound something like this. And again, a little review. Remember that you can change the octave, right? So how high or low you're playing on the keyboard by using Z and X. So X will go up an octave and Z will go down. So we're doing a bass sound. So I'm going to go to sort of a deeper note here. So what is all this crazy stuff going on here? There's a lot going on here. So to a certain extent, if you don't understand what's going on, that's okay. I'm more just going to show you how to make this sound. Then you can fiddle around and play with things and send me a question if you want. But more, I'm just going to show you how to do it. And then you use that sound to make things. You can resample it. You can add effects, whatever. So there are two oscillators, and these are the things actually making the sound. So we have oscillator 1 and oscillator 2. What we are going to want to do is right here in the middle, move this so that it becomes this sawtooth wave or a square wave. I forget which one. But yeah, you can hear the sound has changed. And now we're going to turn on oscillator 2 right here by clicking that button. We're going to also change that to a square wave. And we're going to do a little fancy thing here. This is kind of optional. Don't worry about it. But if you go to right here, you can go to classic and you can change the pulse width a bit. And you can kind of mess around with those too based on what you think sounds good. But then most importantly, we are going to change the semitones here. We're going to pitch this up 1 octave. So it's playing the same note, but 1 octave higher. So I'm going to put in 12. Right now it's kind of high, but if we click Z to go down on our keyboard, down an octave, get kind of that nice sound. Cool. So it's sounding good. Our bass sound is getting there. So the next thing we want to do is sort of change the filter, and the filter section is down here. So you can see I can use this low pass filter, as it's called, to cut out some of the high frequencies. So I'm going to put it kind of low here. And then importantly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this dot so that filter 1 frequency appears here. Now this middle section, which has all these crazy shapes, these ones in blue are called envelopes, and these ones in orange are called LFOs. And basically the way you can think about them is that these are little like assistants that you can use to basically automate the turning of knobs. So let's say as my sound plays, I was like, so I'm going to play my sound. Let's see if we can get something a little more drastic. Or let's say we have the pulse width, right? I'm like, oh, I like how this sounds. You know, let me actually make it a little louder. So what if you're like, oh, that sounds really cool, how the sounds while this is changing. What we can do is we can, in this matrix, right, you can see here, oh, we're changing the PW, pulse width, and here it says oscillator to pulse width. And we can, by dragging up and down, we can assign these different envelopes or LFOs to this pulse width. So let's say we wanted to do exactly that. We would go to LFO1, put it up a little, and now you can see it's kind of changing that, right? So that stuff gets a little complicated. Don't worry if you don't really understand. Most importantly, what we want to do is turn the filter down here, and then by clicking on that, it will say filter 1 frequency, and we just want to turn it up a little on envelope 2. And you'll see that that kind of does that. Now I'm actually going to go into envelope 2, and I'm going to turn S for sustain all the way down, so it looks a bit more like this. And maybe I'll click slope here and turn the D up. I'll turn the frequency up a little. Yeah. So there you go. That's more or less our whole sound. If we want, we could very slightly do that pulse width thing. So LFO1 on the pulse width. And I'm going to go over here to LFO1 and just change the amount so it goes down slightly. And maybe turn the rate down even more. And maybe I could even do that with the pitch of this too. So I'm going to click over here. And I'm going to ever so slightly, so oscillator 1 pitch, ever so slightly turn that up. No, it's a bit too much. I don't know if that quite sounds so good. But yeah, so those are the main things. If you want to play around with unison over here, that can be fun. We can put that in shimmer. Now if you're wearing headphones, you'll notice it sounds very cool. If you're going to use this as a bass sound, you might want to click poly. That will just turn it to, well, you want to click to turn it to mono. And then it will only play one note at a time, which can be good for bass sounds because you don't want the notes overlapping each other. I'm actually going to turn off the unison. Yeah, so that's pretty much how you make that sound. Now the fun thing about this sound, so this sound can be very fun to just do over like a 4 to the floor kick, right? So if you go in here, so whenever I say 4 to the floor, like let's take a look. So up here, there's 7, right? 8, 9. And you may notice that it divides 7 to 8 into 4 different lines, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So then I'm putting a kick on each quarter, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 on the floor, 4 to the floor, as they say. And it just sounds like this, right? Just our kind of on the beat, right? Kind of counting along with the beat, right? And so it can be fun to sort of put in some bass notes that are kind of slightly off of that beat. So again, to do that, what you're going to want to do is select that whole area on your wavetable, right click, go to insert empty MIDI clips, and then you can pick a note. And again, look, if you put it, again, here we have 1, 2, and 3, right? And it's divided into fourths. So if we were to do this, I'm hitting Command D to duplicate, then I'm hitting Command A to select all of the notes, and I'm hitting Shift and the down arrow key to bring it down in octaves, right? So you can hear it, right? So they're all happening at the same time. So what you want to do is select everything, and if you move it over 2 steps, again, if your grid doesn't look like this, make sure it's on 16ths, right-click, fix grid 16th. Now you go here. right? So this more syncopated thing can be fun. So you can try moving some of these notes around and see if you get some patterns that you like. Now you might notice that when I select stuff and when I move stuff, it makes a noise. The reason for that is that I have this headphone button turned on. I think it's kind of useful just for hearing what you're doing with the notes, since I don't understand the musical notation stuff that much. If you click it off, then when you select and move, nothing's going to happen. So let's, so I'll try some more variations here. So there you go. You got like a nice little bass line. Just adjusting the sound a little on the filter. But yeah, nice little bass line there. Fun stuff. And you can start adding samples and other drums and other things. So next I'm going to talk a little bit about those kind of basic techno and house patterns of drums that we were talking about, right? So I'm going to make a little more space here. And again, I'm just going to make myself a 1-bar loop. So I'm going from 10 to 11 here. I'm going to select and hit Command L to get the loop bars in there. And then I'm going to go over here to my sounds, and I'm going to go to my Vengeance House Pack, which is what I think you guys have. And I'm going to go to kicks. And let's find it. We'll do a more chill one this time. So I'm going to grab this kick. And again, you're going to see I'm going to put it on all 4, right? All of these divisions. Now, if you want this to look like mine, on quarter notes, right? Because these are quarter notes. So it's playing on every quarter note, right? Because we're dividing 10 to 11 into quarters. So I'm going to turn it to 16, but you can still see through the coloring where the beginning of each sort of part is. Right? So there's our kick. So the most basic pattern, right, is you have that 4 to the floor, and then we can put a little, so this is on the 1, 2, the 3, and the 4, as we would say musically, and I can put something on the 2 and the 4, so I'm going to put a snare or clap there. So let's find one that's a bit more chill. So I'm going to put that there and there, and again, I'm using Alt-click. I'm holding Alt and then clicking and dragging to click and duplicate. Right? So this is the kind of basic pattern that underscores so much of Western music. Now, to take this into more of our clubby space, what we can do is get either a closed hi-hat is pretty good for this, but I kind of want to do this. I'm going to go to percussion, and I kind of want to get a shaker, which I think will be fun. And I put a shaker. And so the shaker we're going to put in between. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to put it at like 0.5, right? We're going to put it at 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5. Right? You can even duplicate one here. Put it here, maybe. Maybe put one here. Yeah, there we go. So mess around with, so it can be good to have something there. And then let's even just pull in one of the loops. So let's go to loops and let's go to house beats. No, it's too much. Let's go to shaker loops. And I'm just going to pull this whole loop in. Right. And again, and just one thing to remember, I'm going to be a little faster than yours because I'm at 128 BPM up in the top left-hand corner here. And so there you go. That's kind of the core of so much music. So what you can do now is you can go in here and maybe find some of these other sounds and sort of insert them in at various other points. Like, let's see if we get, maybe we'll go to percussion and we'll go to house rim shots. And again, you can start to find other spaces to get these in. Right, so that can be kind of fun. Right, maybe we'll put like a, we can go to cymbals and we can maybe put a closed hi-hat at the beginning. Oh, sorry, don't look at that. Turn myself off. Oh. It doesn't sound so good. Maybe. And if you really want to start dialing in some of that groove, what you can do is you can click on these, hold down Command, and then when you use the arrow keys, you'll move them ever so slightly off. So what can be good is to have a really strong, like a stronger beat on, say, the 1 and the 3 or something like that, and then move some of the other things slightly off. So maybe I want to click on these snares, and I'm going to use the keys to have them come slightly late. Maybe the shaker, I'll also pull the shaker slightly late. I'll pull this one, or maybe this one I'll make a bit early, and this one I'll pull both of them slightly late and make this slightly late. These I can make slightly early. So you can just start to dial in a little bit more of a groove. I don't know if you can really hear that so well. I don't even know if I can, to be honest, but yeah, those little micro adjustments can make a bit of a difference. Let's try and hear the difference with just this shaker. Maybe if we mute this this loop. Right, so now let's say we take something like this, and then let's get our loop in there from above. There we go, look at that. Get a sample in there and we've got a whole track. Start to structure it out, easy. So yeah, super fun stuff. Chop up some pieces of a break, get them in there. But yeah, so those are sort of the kind of very basic kind of dance music patterns that you can use to start get going. Here are some other ones I guess I had done. Right, so this is maybe a bit more of a techno-y one. Oh, I guess I did this one in class. I guess here's another one that I had done while preparing this. Right, so nothing crazy, nothing special, but you can see a lot of different, a lot of different fun stuff you can do there. Okay, so some other stuff we talked about. Oh yes, the Martin Garrix Animals style bass. So I kind of made a little fake Martin Garrix Animals thing here, which was fun. Let's listen. Right, and so what are all the elements there? We kind of have this very subby thing. So I don't know if I gave you this, but if you go to the thing I think you have, which is this Hulk X Trap Kit, and you go to 808s, you should be able to find something like this. Maybe number 8 or... Man, these are so growly. Let's look in the kicks. Yeah, we want something a bit more subby, I guess. Yeah, maybe even something like number 8, and you could take this and then maybe I would just like shorten it down, put in a little fade. Sounds a little weird because of the beginning, but you get the point. You can try and find something like that. And then we have this ride, which again was just coming from the Vengeance house pack that's just on the 1, 2, the 3, and the 4. And then I have this little snare. So the pattern itself, very simple. Now, in terms of the actual sound, how did we make that? So again, we are going to go to our wavetable. So I'm just going to use this one again, but I will drag in a fresh instance. So again, this is also a little bit complicated, but just follow along and make something. Just make it, and then you can use it. So again, oh, nope. So this time we want to go really up in pitch. Right? And so I'll just drag in even this, right? So, right? Now, if you're looking at this and you want to, you can sort of recreate this here. You might notice, you might be like, oh, your notes are slightly off. How did you get them to be like that exactly off? It's because I was on the triplet grid. So you can right click, hit triplet grid, and then you'll see that all of these are on like 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, the 1, 3, and the 5 when you're in the triplet grid mode. Okay, so now let's get this sounding a little more correct. So the main thing is what it's doing is it's like with this, so this noise, so actually in the original song he was just using a sample, but what the sample kind of sounds like it's doing is it's very rapidly changing the pitch, because when you really rapidly change the pitch, you almost create like this impact like sound. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to the, well, let's open this up again. So we're going to keep all this, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to go click on pitch, right? So oscillator 1, pitch, and we're going to map that to envelope 2. So I'm just going to turn that up a little. Right now it sounds a bit crazy. I'm going to put on 24. So now we're going to actually change envelope 2, which is right here, yeah? So I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to go to slope. I'm going to turn D all the way up. And then I'm going to slowly bring down the D here, which is for decay. Right, so now you can hear we're getting a little more of that hitting sound. Then amp, this controls how the whole sound sounds. So I'm going to, again, bring it down to make it a little shorter. I'm going to bring down the release. Right, so you can kind of mess around that to get the exact sound. And then what you can do with the filter is maybe bring it back a little, but I'm going to change this to OSR and just get some of this drive. Just so we get a little bit more of that hit. And then if you turn on reverb, you sort of start to get something that's kind of a bit more like that sound. And again, you can sort of dial it in from there, maybe mess around with the shape. I don't think he really does too much of that. Maybe I'll turn down the reverb decay time a little. Maybe just the dry wet. But yeah, so it's something, you know, it's something like that, right? And so then let's play all together our other loop here. Right, so just using a kick. So again, you can mess around with that synth sound as well. Okay, and then Sina was wondering about how to make these sorts of more melodic sorts of things. So here, so luckily you don't have to be a composition expert. You can just use the scale mode. Yeah. So there is this preset. So I'm going to again go here. I'm going to click create, insert MIDI track. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go and I'm going to search for grand piano, which I think you can find if you go to instruments, simpler piano and keys, grand piano. Yeah, instruments, simpler, pianos and keys, grand piano. And basically what you want to be aware of here is, so again, I'm going to create a MIDI clip, is that you can turn on this scale button here. Yeah. So scale, and you can change to any letter you like. I'll do D. And then this, I would say either pick major or minor for now. And what you can do is if you start on D, right, you can start to create some chords and notes, right? So you'll notice all these different lanes are highlighted in pink. Basically, if it's highlighted in pink, then it means it's a note in that scale. So things in the pink will sound kind of vaguely coherent together. So even if I randomly click all over the place here, so let's listen to that. So again, it doesn't sound good, but it sounds like something. So maybe let's make something that sounds a little more. So you can make little melodies like that. You can start experimenting around, but you can also start to do some chord progressions, right? So for those, basically, I'm going to pick one whole note for this whole 1 to 2. Then I'm going to pick another for here. So I just do that, right? And then you can start stacking other notes that are in the pink to make chords. And one pattern that's good is just to skip a note. And that will give you like your major or minor chords. So this is Music Theory 101. Right, and then you can start to add other notes and see how those sound. Some might sound good, some might sound bad. But let's put some other notes in there and see what happens. So you can notice that over here doesn't sound so good, but right? And so now you can start stacking. I'm going to change some of the settings here. You can start stacking all of these instruments, right? So let's create another one. And if you keep them all in scale, they'll kind of sound in line with you. So let's just pick like a random thing. So I'm going to just type in like pluck. And I don't know even if this is a sound you'll have, but so I guess I'll get this coil pluck, but just get anything, right? So I'm hitting Command F, and then searching. Oh, it's loading, which means this is probably a thing that you don't have. Well, let me go back to that instruments folder then. So I'm going to go here to instruments, or no, I'm going to even better. I'm going to go to sounds, and then I'm going to look here for, I don't know, orchestral. Oh, this is very good. I need it. So there's a student who, if you're watching this, hopefully you have these. These are really good. Okay, yeah, so let's maybe do. Okay, so let's try these out. And actually, maybe we can do the chords with this. That could be fun. Oh, this is taking a little bit of time to load. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to actually drag this down here. So with this particular sound, it may be that we have to select all of these, and then you can change the volume for each note by changing the velocity down here. So I'm just going to turn them all up. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to turn the attack down. Just try and get this a little louder. Just a bit, you know, and I'm just going to put some, all right, you know, I'm just going to put a utility. Just turn this up a bit. I think it's just because of the recording. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. So this slide thing is what's making this weird. Okay. Wow, these sound great. Right, and so then we can get our grand piano on top of that, and right, and let's go here. We'll really reverb it up. We'll make it super hard and bright and tone and release. Okay, right. Let's make these a little longer. Oh, so to make them longer, you can select them and then use the shift and the left and right arrow key. And then we can even start to build in some chords here, right? So let me just go down to okay. But yeah, so you can start to build together all these like different layers of things that work. So maybe we'll get like one more in. So I'm just hitting Command Shift T to create a new MIDI track. And then I'm going to go back to our instruments and, or no, I'll go back to sounds, go to orchestral. And oh, let's just look at these other. Maybe let's get, yeah, let's get this gravity sound in here. Okay, so we can now maybe, okay, maybe we'll do something really low with this. And again, pick some of those same root notes. So this root note is D, and this one's A. So maybe we'll go to D and A. Maybe we'll put some effects on this. Oh, more reverb. Maybe just put amp on it. There we go. Turn the volume up again. Okay, great. So yeah, if you want to just work on something more compositional with more traditional instruments, you can do something like that. But always get some, some nice percussion in, right? Some very Hans Zimmer, Inception style sound here. Okay. Good. So I think there are two more things that we're talking about. So one was this bass sound from this song. Oh, again, I don't know if you guys can hear this. Let's see. Oh, no, you should be able to hear it. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Right, which, as we were saying, is in a ton of these DJ Mustard songs. Right, like this one. So, cool stuff. So how do we make that? Again, we're going to go into wavetable. I will be a little more brief this time since we've talked about this a bunch. So I'm going to arm this MIDI track. I'm going to search for wavetable using Command S. I'm going to drag it in. And this time I'm going to open it up. I'm going to bring this to about 30% to be on this sort of triangle wave. Also going to turn on oscillator 2, bring it to about here for this triangle wave, and I'm going to turn this one up by 7 semitones. And I'm going to turn this one down by 12. Right, and we're starting to get there already. And then we're just going to do that filter thing again. So I'm going to bring the filter down and map the filter frequency to envelope 2. And that's more or less it. You can try some unison. Yeah, something like that, right? You can turn on this sub if you want, just to get a little more of that low end. We could change this filter thing to get a little more drive. I can maybe turn down the sustain on the envelope. Yeah, so there you go. That's more or less that song, and then sound, and then you want to put some reverb on there. What is it? I can't do it, but yeah, you get it. Another fun sound. Put amp on this, see what happens. That's fun. Get this over one of our put this over one of our beats we made. That'll be fun. Where is it? Yeah, so you mess around with that. And the last thing I'm going to show you is courtesy of Yiwen, who was wanting to make this sort of, she described it very well as this watery sort of sound. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. I'll sort of show you how to do it here. So again, let's create a new MIDI track. Let's drag in our wavetable. There we go. And what this is we have this, and then what we're going to do is we are going to go to LFO number 1, and we're going to change it to this, which is sample and hold, which basically just means random. And we're going to turn the rate up so we get a lot more random. And then we are going to map this to oscillator 1 pitch. Oh no, not position, pitch. Sorry, just pitch. Yeah, and there you go. So this was this kind of fun, bubbly noise that a student was talking about. So yeah, go crazy with it. Maybe do that LFO with the position as well. Can't really hear it too well. Maybe with LFO too. I think if you combine this with something called vocoder, it can be fun as well. Let's turn on enhance. Let's turn to modulator. Turn up the depth. And formant. Get amp in there. We're going a little too crazy. But yeah, so that was kind of a fun sound. You maybe soak that in like reverb and put a little filter on it. Turn down the rate a little. Very spooky, very spooky. Yeah, so I think that's more or less what we covered. So yeah, and yeah, if you begin to combine some of these, so what I hope you do is maybe, so if you're feeling a little unsure of what to do, one thing that can be good to do is combine some of the stuff I was talking about with, say, the bass sounds with the drums, with the sort of strings stuff, right? So let's say we kind of put this all together, and if you keep it all in the same key, you should be good to go. So I'm just going to duplicate this part, and then I'm going to bring this back. Right, and then maybe we'll go to sounds and we can get like a little pad. Pads are these kind of... So maybe we'll just do these two notes and make them even longer. Oh, and to do that, you can just hit select and you can just hit legato and it will move it all up. Right. And then let's get like a little bass line in here. And I think, so let's check the root note here. So root note is D. So if we put something on this D note, we should be in good shape. And let's take all this reverb off and let's just make this not as... And one really great thing to do with the bass noises can be to take one of these notes, duplicate it, hold Shift Command up arrow key to put it up an octave. And then maybe we can change to that same root note of this one. to be. Right, and then maybe, so now we're combining so many things, and then combine it, of course, with, I know we've been doing so much synthesis stuff, but let's get back to our sampling roots and maybe put in something weird from our sample pack. So some nice like coffee shop ambience, that can be kind of fun. Put that in the background, put like a ton of reverb on it. Turn it down a bit. And maybe let's get some other weird sounds from there. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, this will be great, right? So if we get this, find like a little part we can sort of loop, maybe put amp on it. And we just got to make sure it's in the right pitch. And this is where stuff can get a little tricky. Oh, is it almost? It's just fine. Maybe we'll put like delay on it. Delay and reverb. Yeah, there we go. Let's get one more sound in here.
Fuck hard.
Okay, it's a bit crazy. Let's find another, like, kind of something more melodic. Oh, that is kind of cool, actually. We will need to probably turn it up a bit, but... And put some delay. And actually, maybe let's see if we can turn these down an octave. So not too bad. Kind of fun. Cool. Nice stuff, guys. Nice stuff. So yeah, make something inspired by all of those different techniques. I'm like, maybe we should even get Ewan's thing in there. Nah. Where is it? It's here. Might be a bit too extreme. Okay, good. So yeah, take a look, give it a try, make something fun. Let me know if you have any questions. And of course, please submit more things to me that you guys want to look at /make. Awesome. Thanks.